The first frost has arrived. The mornings are quite chilly and call for the daily occurrence of choosing what sweater I'm going to layer that day. A hot drink is a must, and comforting, hearty breakfasts are needed. Today we are making a few of my favorite cozy season recipes, feel-good breakfasts, to start off the brisk mornings right, some sweet, some savory, and filled with all of the fall flavors. So come on in and make yourself at home. I love a good breakfast casserole for a fall morning. They're hearty and comforting and a great way to use up leftovers or other bits and bobs that have been pushed to the back of the fridge. That casserole has a homey kind of feel to it, one that brings the whole family to the table in their PJs kind of vibe. It's great for slow mornings or can very easily be made ahead of time and reheated. This casserole includes croissants, bacon, and Gruyère as the stars of the show. I have cut up an entire package of bacon and put that into the oven, shredded about 6 ounces of Gruyère cheese, and I have 6 large croissants that I am tearing up and putting into an 8 by 11 baking dish. I ran out to the garden quick and found 2 of the last things that are actually alive out there because of the frost. I had some sage and some chives that I'm going to chop up for this dish. You will need to crack 8 eggs into a bowl. Add 2 cups of whole milk and a half cup of heavy cream. Squeeze in 2 teaspoons of Dijon mustard, sprinkle in some salt, about a teaspoon, and then throw in your chopped herbs. Again, I use some sage and some chives, but you can use whatever you like. The croissants get topped with the cooked bacon and cheese. Toss them around a little bit, and then press them down to make sure everything is nice and even. And then your egg mixture gets poured over all of that. Bake this at 350 degrees for about 45 minutes. You want the eggs to be set. This one is a lovely dish. It's packed with so much flavor. I like to serve it with some fresh fruit or some roasted veggies and, of course, a nice hot cup of coffee or tea. Now let's make some waffles, shall we? I love waffles. We eat waffles for more than just breakfast. Where are all my PA Dutch people at? We have chicken and waffles for dinner quite often. But I wanted to make waffles with a little bit of a twist on them. I've been craving apple fritters, but I didn't really feel like making the apple fritters, nor did I really want to fry something. So I thought, why not try and make an apple fritter inspired waffle? And that's just what I did. So this recipe is as follows. 4 cups of all-purpose flour, a half cup of brown sugar, 2 tablespoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon salt, 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon, and a half teaspoon of nutmeg. Crack in 4 eggs, 2 cups of buttermilk, 3/4 cup of apple cider, not apple cider vinegar, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, a half cup of melted butter, and 2 small apples, peeled and diced. As always, you can find today's recipes down in the description. Very soon, you'll be able to find them somewhere else. Stay tuned for that. In a preheated and greased waffle iron, I added about a half cup of the mixture. I didn't want it to actually fill out the entire space. I wanted it to kind of remain rustic and misshapen, kind of like an apple fritter. These were fabulous. My entire family thoroughly enjoyed them. They really did taste a lot like an apple fritter. Now, you can serve these like a regular waffle with some maple syrup, but I wanted to make them more like an apple fritter, so I made a glaze. I just took some powdered sugar, mixed it with some apple cider, and a little bit of vanilla, and poured that over the top, and it was delicious. Now, anytime I'm making a more sweet breakfast, I like to serve some sort of breakfast meat alongside to make it more of a well-rounded meal. If you have never made from scratch bagels at home, you need to. They're so simple, and I have quite a few videos where I make different flavors. I can share a few here on the screen. Today we're making pumpkin spice bagels. These can very easily be made ahead, be made in bulk, so it's only like a one-time effort, and then you can just pull them out of the freezer whenever you want them. And once you taste homemade, it's very hard to go back to store-bought. To begin this recipe, you need 3/4 cup of warm water, not hot. You need 2 1/4 teaspoon of active dry yeast, that is equivalent to one of the little packets you can buy in the store, and you need a teaspoon of sugar. Mix those 3 things together and allow that yeast to get activated. Then you're going to add in a half cup of pumpkin puree, a 1/3 cup of brown sugar, 3 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, and 1 teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice, 1 1/4 teaspoons of salt. Bring that mixture together, and then once it is together, you're going to want to knead that for about 8 to 10 minutes. You can do this by hand, or you can use a dough hook in a stand mixer. If you struggle with knowing whether or not you have kneaded your dough enough, it should have a really nice, smooth texture to it. It should be able to stretch some, and it should have some life to it, some spring. So if you push on it, it should bounce back. Once it's been kneaded, I am going to put it into a greased bowl here and cover it. Allow it to rise until doubled, about an hour. After the dough has doubled, remove it from the bowl, punch it down. I don't know why I didn't punch it down here. That's like my most favorite part. I don't know what was wrong with me that day, but punch it down, and then you want to divide it into 8 equal portions. That will give you a regular bagel size. If you want, you could divide it further and have mini bagels. To shape them, take one of the portions and pull in all of the edges together underneath, pinching, and then turn it over, give it a little roll. And there are 2 different ways you can then shape the bagel. You can poke a hole through it and then gently pull in every direction so it's nice and even all around. Or you can take your dough, roll it into a snake, and then flatten one end with the palm of your hand. You're going to take that flattened end and wrap it around the other end. You're going to pinch that dough all over to make sure that it is sealed, and you can make your bagel shape that way as well. It's really more a matter of preference. Place your bagels on a parchment-lined baking sheet. I'm going to cover them, and we're going to get some water and some baking soda boiling. So you're going to want to fill a pot about halfway full with water and 1 tablespoon of baking soda and bring that to a boil. Once it has boiled, bring your bagels on over, and we're going to boil each of these for about 45 seconds per side. This process right here is going to give the bagels that leathery skin that they're known for. After they have boiled on each side, remove them with a slotted spoon and place back on the tray. And I have a mixture here of melted butter and some brown sugar that I am brushing over the top of each of these. These are then going to bake at 450 degrees for about 10 to 15 minutes. You want the tops to be nice and golden brown. These are absolutely delightful. I make them every fall. I have made them probably for the last 6, maybe 7 years. They are wonderful with some cream cheese mixed with either maple syrup or honey and just a dash of cinnamon. Absolutely scrumptious on a fall morning. Today we're making a galette. It's very simple. It's like a rustic pie, kind of a free-form tart, if you will. There's so many different combinations. You can do sweet or savory, but on mornings when I want something savory, a lot of times I just don't want eggs. And this is a great way to have a nice, filling, hearty breakfast without the eggs. So for this galette, I'm gonna make my dough here, but we're going to do some potatoes. Potatoes are a great base for a savory galette. I'm gonna do some prosciutto, and I have some of that Gruyère left over. So that is what my flavorings will be, but you can totally customize it however you want. So the first thing I am doing is cutting up some very, very cold butter. You want it nearly frozen. So I'm just gonna cube this. I have 3/4 cup. I'm gonna add it to my bowl and grab some flour. Okay, we're gonna do 2 cups of all-purpose flour. You can use gluten-free if you want to. 1, 2, and I'm gonna grab some salt. Trying to cook anything in a torn-apart kitchen is proving difficult for me. I'm already a little bit haphazard when I cook and I misplace things, but now it's even worse. And just trying to find things because they're literally all over my house it's fun. So anyways, we're gonna do 3/4 teaspoon to a teaspoon of salt. Okay, just a little smidge, about a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. And really, I shouldn't have added the apple cider vinegar until I went through and I cut this butter in here a bit better. So don't do that until you cut in the butter. You want it to be very rough looking. See, nice and rough looking. Now I have a really fancy measuring cup because I can't find any of my measuring cups. So we're estimating that this is a 1/4 cup of very cold water. I'm gonna do a little bit at a time just to make sure I'm not putting too much water in. You just want your dough to come together. Now you don't want to overwork this with your hands too much. You just want to bring it together into a very rough dough. Otherwise, the butter is going to start melting and you're not going to have a really nice flaky end result. I'm going to wrap this up, move my measuring cup out of the way, and stick this in the fridge and we'll start working on the filling. Okay, 3 potatoes I'm going to peel and then run through my mandolin slicer, which, by the way, having a torn apart kitchen has been somewhat helpful because I have found things that I didn't even know that I had. Remember how I said I hate using the mandolin slicer because I'm afraid I'm going to just tear my hand to shreds? I found that I have this little handy dandy tool. Well, it's supposed to stay on there, but so that I don't chop my fingers off. This is wonderful. This is life-changing. I don't feel like I have to be afraid anymore. Look at that. Not a chopped off fingertip in sight. Alrighty then. I'm gonna take these over to the sink, give them a rinse, and allow them to drain off, and we'll move on to something else. For the rest of the filling, about 1/8 cup of olive oil. In my bowl here, a 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder. And we're gonna do a clove of minced garlic. Okay, in goes the garlic. Pinch of salt. We're gonna do about 3 tablespoons of heavy cream. Or if you're in a fancier area, you could possibly find some creme fraiche. I can't find that around here, so we're using heavy cream. And you can add herbs of choice. I'm gonna do some rosemary from my garden that I have freeze dried. I need to chop it up though. Give this a little stir and we're gonna add our now dried potatoes. I have them laying on a towel here. Get all that excess moisture off. We're gonna throw them into this mixture and make sure that everything is well coated. Have my dough back out from the fridge. Probably could have left it in a bit longer, but I'm gonna do it now. Throw this onto my cookie sheet here. Okay. So I'm gonna fill the center here. I'm gonna leave about a 2-ish inch gap here to fold over once we're done. So I'm gonna take my potatoes here first. Again, make sure they're nice and coated. So I'm gonna coat each one and then lay it in the center. I'm gonna overlap them slightly. Chopped up some of my prosciutto here. You could also use pancetta if you'd like. I'm gonna put about half of this on. Or maybe I'll put all this on and just chop up some more. Half of this Gruyère. This already looks and smells lovely. Press this down. Try and get everything even. And then we're gonna put a second layer of potatoes on top. I decided I'm just gonna top this off with some cheese. I had enough of the prosciutto in that bottom layer there. Of course, there's no right or there's no right or wrong way to do this. There's no right or wrong way to do this. You can do as many layers as the pastry will allow, because you do need to fold the edges over. I'm gonna fold these edges over and kind of just do a little bit of a tuck there all the way around. Press those down a little bit so they adhere to each other. I'm gonna sprinkle just a little bit crushed up rosemary on the pastry. Just for a pop of color, a little bit more flavor. And this is going to go into a 400-degree oven for about 45 minutes to an hour. If it starts to get too brown, you could throw some aluminum foil over the top. You just want to make sure that your potatoes are nice and tender. Now these take a little bit more time, as you can see. There's some more hands-on work and there's the baking time. So it's not an everyday breakfast, but I do like to bring them out every once in a while if I have time on the weekend, just for something special, something different. But I wanted to share it because of the holidays coming up. If you are hosting, you've got people staying over, you're doing a brunch, want something a little bit more fancy for Thanksgiving or Christmas breakfast, I love making a galette. It's just a little bit more elevated, shall we say, even though it is rustic. It just feels special, and you can customize it however you want. Throw in any sort of meat, any sort of cheese. You could do a whole veggie one. I like throwing in some of my canned pie fillings. I'll throw in some canned fruit mixed in with some of my jam. Like, you can just do so many different things, and I promise you, everyone will love it. My friend, isn't this just the loveliest thing? It looks absolutely scrumptious. Just beautifully golden brown. Lots of the melty, bubbly cheese going on, those little specks of rosemary. Yes, please. Okay, let's give it a cut, shall we? It is so good. Thank you so much for spending some time with me in my kitchen. I hope these cozy season breakfast ideas bring a little extra warmth and comfort to your mornings. If you enjoyed this video, I'll leave a few more just like it here on the screen. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and drop me an emoji down in the comments. I so appreciate the engagement. You have a blessed week, my friend, and I will see you next time. Take care.